Yeah.
So just some,
Yeah.
again, that's all off the shelf, no programming required.
Yeah.
Special features, it's all there.
So, so this is what they're, I mean, it's probably biased data as well, right? But this is their ideas by stage and progress. I find it interesting because we're reporting our statistics. This is kind of, you know, what we were talking about yesterday, and I was like, well, Tech Connect has number of ideas, number of connections, number of profiles. Productible's just number of ideas. And this isn't, I haven't broken it down to phases, that's in the report. Vision is just ideas, but for me, in order for me to pull up number of ideas and vision, you can, actually, I downloaded it yesterday, the downloads. I had to go do manual math because it wasn't, you know, but they have a really sexy looking dashboard, but it doesn't give me an aggregated, so I had to go through and count and make sure that all of these added up to the number that I needed. They make you work for the data that you want.
If you do the, compare this project, their little, you know, smart analytics tool, it will always return the same amount of numbers, so I think that's the number of ideas that's actually in the system.
Yeah.
Basically ranked and stacked based on their criteria. Because it always returns the same amount of results, so I think that's how many ideas there actually are.
So yeah, so it's nice because they got the different functional areas, and that's helpful. Total funding amount, funded initiatives, so they're starting to track that, but again, that's just at the tactical innovation level. It's not saying the total aggregate number or what's the success rate. You could say funded, but what's the actual success rate in implementation of these ideas into sustainability? I mean, so right now, cool, that's good data to have, but it doesn't tell me how that's helping the department move the needle at large. And so that's, I keep, like, I'm just like screaming, like, we need these total numbers in the system to come together to provide the overall report for Mr. Lombardi, you know, to say, what does that picture look like? And so that's the future of something that we need to work on moving forward, is how do we do that? Anyways, so I'll pause there. So back to your agenda, just to show you some of the challenges I have moving ahead. And then it's like, okay, for the PML, how are we using the PML to chip away at that? How are we using the age stuff? How are we moving the training to work on the projects assigned versus just letting them go take projects that they want to do because that's in their head, that's what they know best, to start chipping away at
So,
projects they've never done before.
so I think, I love this slide again because I think it speaks a little bit to something that in the innovation leadership round we call vanity metric. So like, what is this, what do any of these numbers actually mean or actually tell you? Why are they important? So what if I said there's an organization in Minneapolis with 4,500 employees and they implement 80,000 ideas a year? Implement. Complete, finished, put into their operating environment 80,000 ideas a year. Well, so what does this tell us? That we're underachieving? That we're overachieving? That we're not doing much?
We're spinning our wheels.
Well,
Like,
I don't know, because
I don't know, it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me because we can't get it from the NPOs and the functional communities to tell me what their 10 top core processes are.
How many
And then
ideas,
how each one of those ideas are making a dent in those sub-processes.
how many ideas a year does the Air Force do?
I couldn't tell
Could
you.
be a million.
I couldn't tell you.
We don't know the number.
I don't know.
Because we actually don't have a view of everything that's happening in the Air Force. We have this small, tiny little sliver of engagement.
Right.
So again, this means virtually nothing to me. So when you say, well, we got to get data or numbers to Mr. Lombardi, I don't know that that's a narrative that I want to engage.
No, this is why we trashed it
Yeah.
yesterday, because this was something that, as we're selling this as crowd vector and gain as everything, what we've been reporting in the NPO calls is only been biased data. It's only been gain data. Anything that we've presented to Mr. Lombardi has only been data from crowd vector, and it's biased data. And so if we're truly pitching it, which we've been pushing for the past 3 weeks pretty religiously now, is we're everything, we can be anything and everything that wants to come and play, that's out in this makerspace arena, then we have to, now I'm starting to track and now I'm starting to go, what does it really need? I really need the PML, I really need these numbers, I need the project numbers. And what does this mean to the innovators? Because it really doesn't give them any hope. That how many did we actually implement? Ty, how much money have you gotten for your project for Spark Tank? We forced on pitch coach training for a big ask, and at large, if I took the total number of dollars for Spark Tank pitches of total ask, and I said, how much did they actually realize 3 months post Spark Tank? And then back that to the year before, back that to the year, we got this much ask and we've only made this much done. And that is depressing to innovators as they're looking at innovation programs going, you guys say that you're gonna resource this, but here we are with 86 ideas or 83 ideas still in the hopper.
And how long have they been in the hopper?
And it says,
A
yeah,
while.
2018.
Just for awareness, like for our project by itself, we've raised up to 20 million now. We've had to raise our actual ceiling cap for our project multiple times to accommodate the amount of money that people are putting into it that we have independently raised.
But they've gotten nothing from the department.
Yeah, so like the
But we put them on
department
stage to
actually
give hopes.
said 1.6 million that they were gonna give to us, and we've yet to realize any of that. So, we're just.
I don't know that I have a problem with that. You got on stage in front of the 6 most important people in the Air Force, and you can't say that didn't add value to your ability to get funding.
I can't say that because we had all of that funding prior.
Okay.
Like,
Why do we have you on stage?
I don't know, I actually asked the same question. Like, I literally asked that question because I asked, what was the intent of us being up there that we were trying to get out of this?
I've been wondering that for a while.
Like, I've genuinely asked that question.
Oh.
And like, the only reason I'm saying that is, not that I think it's that, anything like that I'm not
Jump time.
supportive. It's just, I think we're getting lost.
Yeah.
Like, as an innovator, I think we're getting lost in the system somewhere. And it would be nice to have just that high level support, which is all we need. We don't want money, we just want support.
Yeah. Well, do you? I mean, you may not know this, but like, what's the purpose of putting 6 people on stage in front of the top leadership in front of an audience of people?
So
what's,
my
what's the
understanding-
purpose of that?
Which is a fair question, because I asked that one as well. What I was told is that the intent of putting the individuals on the stage was to try and inspire future innovators, that we were going to support them, the people on stage, so that it would help bring additional ideas out of the audience to be like, yes, there is people that are making it through, but then also for that to be a deterrent for the United States to show to other countries that the United States is a leading innovator in the world. That was the reason I understood we went on
Yeah.
stage.
Because we don't need to run that competition on stage in front of a live audience, in front, televised and recorded, to implement ideas or to get funding or to get leadership engagement. We don't need to do any of that.
No.
In fact, there was already more than a dozen projects picked for support and funding and everything else. And granted, I get back to the point that this is all really hard. No matter what, no matter how easy we try to make it, it's always hard. It's a lot of sausage making. There's a lot of horse meat that goes into the sausage. I mean, it's ugly, and we're trying to make it better, more streamlined, and more repeatable. But we're still in this early stage of figuring it all out. But putting people up on Spark Tank is all about optics. It's all about trying to inspire and deter. That's it. As much as we would like to call it something else.
So, I agree, and I actually do see a lot of value in that by all
Yeah.
means. The part I have an issue with is telling me that.
Yes, the message.
Tell me that, and then actually, when I'm doing my presentation, give me the support for that. Like, why do I not have a prompter for my script? Because I've also told it was a competition. I was also told that this was to get funding. I was also told that you have funding. And so all I'm asking is I'm on board for all of it.
Yeah.
Just give me that consistent message.
I don't think the
Yeah.
intent is not to give you funding or support or resources. I'm just telling you that it's still being figured out, and it's still really
Yeah,
hard.
so
Yeah.
now we hear that, but when I look at the data and the statistics, when I start looking at what's eating my day, when I no longer have time to talk to Joe or Jim, because I'm doing AFWorks' job as an action officer to keep Spark Tank just floating, right? And I have no time for all the other customers or even my own boss in my inbox. You know, like, it really makes me think about what data and metrics we should be chasing, which is what's the throughput? I mean, what's our tech time? What's our cycle time? I think that's something that Productible's supposed to be chasing, but we're not even there yet.
Well, okay, so let's focus on that, because there are differences between metrics and key performance indicators, KPIs. Metric is merely a number.
Yeah.
How many miles it takes me to drive from Minneapolis to Des Moines. That is a number. It doesn't mean anything other than just gives me an arbitrary distance calculation, so I can try to figure out how long it should take me to get there, or, you know, if I have a number of stops, it might take me longer. If the weather's bad, it could take me longer to get, or if I have enough gas in the tank, or if my electric vehicle has enough of a charge. It really doesn't give me any other information other than a distance from point A to point B. Those numbers of ideas is a metric. Our key performance indicators we need to collectively agree on. I would argue for the number of campaigns we run is critical information. The number of users we have on the platform is a key indicator. The number of users that return to our platform in some defined frequency is a key performance indicator. Those are the numbers that matter to me, and if we want to talk about cycle times, actually do matter, but you know why we can't measure those? Because we don't have defined systems by which solutions go through a system, by which we can cancel them out,
Yep.
move them through gates,
We don't have the
understand when they're
governance.
stuck.
Yeah.
But we just presented this morning a system of problem solving that we could then measure cycle times against.
Yeah.
Until that's implemented and we're pushing stuff through that,
So we have to process that. We have to shift our mindset to that so we can start presenting that data, because the data and the metrics that are important to you aren't important to Mr. Lombardi. It's about how can he help take that data and help go to the functionals and say, go do your job. Look at your throughput. It sucks. Your number of ideas that you have actually gotten through the valley of death, or squashed for just about. We have our first exit interview that says that we shouldn't have off-ramped the idea. Like, we had a senior leader sign his name on an off-ramp letter, and the airman was like, I was promised something within 2 years, and I said, I've got a GOTS solution right here, and I've had zero interaction by the community that promised the solution. So now we got to follow back up with that, and that's another issue, but it's relatable to the accountability of the gamification and the poor behaviors that the air staff is displaying. And so we're now starting to get those, starting to be able to pinpoint some better, I don't know what you say it, so some better barriers to innovation. People are just getting senior leaders to pencil with their signatures on an off-ramp letter, and just the innovation spirit's just like, so what, you know? So
I don't know that I track all that.
Yeah.
Crystal.
Yeah.
What I am saying is what we can control.
Yeah.
Is we can control some part of the narrative, and the part of the narrative that we can control is we're trying to provide a capability to the Air Force to support and drive innovation, and we need to define what that model support looks like. It gets back to what is this program offering as use cases, as capability, as a solution for some set of users within the environment. And what I'm advocating for is that we're providing a platform for users to engage their workforce. Those leaders to engage their workforce, and those leaders should be able to use this platform as a way to message their needs and desires, and to get their workforce to engage and solve problems that matter to them, and that they should be in a position to drive funding, resourcing, support for.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if we provide a model of direct engagement, so users trying to engage leadership for help and support, we need to provide a methodology that guides them through a problem-solving process, which we're building today. So we have this two-pronged approach, and so then we build measurements around that, and then that's the narrative that we drive. And so if Mr. Lombardi is looking for metrics, it should be the metrics that we tell him he should be looking
Right.
for. Like we gotta get his mindset to agree with that vision and strategy. So that's kind of a little bit of the reset that I think we need to do is both agree on what our strategy is, what the frameworks or use cases are that we're delivering, how we deliver them, and then we can get our reporting to match that vision and strategy so that we can then start to measure
Yeah.
well, how many campaigns do we run? What does throughput look like? You know, for certain campaigns, how much responsibility do we have before we're like, we're done, now it's your responsibility, you know, leader, to execute going forward.
So, I think we're talking in circles, so, cause we agree on saying it different ways. So, what we're doing is needs to morph, we're in 2.0 of maturity phase, right? So where are we moving forward? So, speaking of senior leaders, I think, PMO is up next on the discussion.
Yep.
So, back to you.